Welcome to the DFY show. It's really an honor to be here, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining this section. And this conversation is something that I really look forward to because we have so many myths about living in the UK. We have the good, we have the bad, we have the interesting things. And so that's all we are going to be talking about today. So if you would like to join the conversation, don't forget to raise your hand. And also, we have questions on the DFY show page. So all you have to do is go to my page, that's Damilola Badmus. You would see the DFY show page icon. So click there. We have a couple of questions lined up. So please ensure that you drop in your comments because we will not be able to take everybody's comments. We have so many people. So please just ensure that you put in your comment there and we would be ready to have you. So I have my co-host in the house because I'm not going to be doing this alone. And her name is Olubukola. Hi Bukola, how you doing?
Hi everyone. It's great to be here with you today.
Yeah, it's an honor as well. Before we start the show, I really want to make a disclaimer. Now, the show or the conversation we are having today is not in any way trying to bash anybody or anybody in any country. We are just trying to share our experiences with you. We are just simply sharing our opinions on the reality living as in Nigeria in the UK. So just please be clear that we are not trying to say bad things about anybody so that we don't get our names in blogs. So because what do you think about our conversation today?
Okay, that's right. The disclaimer, I love that. And this today's topic is going to be amazing. Like, I cannot wait for us to delve into the conversation. So, we might be inviting a few guests to share their experiences and insights with us so we can hear about their highs and lows, the successes, the struggles, and everything in between.
Okay, awesome. So the first question I have for you is that you're in Nigeria. What do you think we in the UK? What's your perspective or what's your perception of we Nigerians that we live in the UK?
First, the major perception is, yeah, you don't go where money day. Like, yes. Really, to me, it's a success. It means you've changed your level. You are doing well financially, important financially. So it just means that once you travel out of Nigeria, to me, you're not a big boy, you're not a big girl, you're not someone with you or has all the money. And I want to believe that's it anyway.
Okay. Sometimes I quite get that perspective. I really have some of friends here that are to get married, and everybody is trying to, the Nigerian word we use, also trying to get their feet together, and then they are planning their wedding. They are here in the UK, but they need to get married back in Nigeria. And then they'll start giving the gist that their mother will think that they are earning millions, they're earning in billions, and then they start packing all the bills on their head. I particularly know one person that says that his mother said that he has to buy the whole Ashwebi for the family because he's living in the UK.
Really?
Yes, and he has to plan the whole wedding. Like, you're the one living in UK now, or mommy want UK. You get that kind of thing. So that perception of you people think that we are earning in dollars. When you see earning money in dollars, that perception sometimes it's a lot, really.
So are you saying that you guys are not really in money?
I would say that no, we are not in money. Well, someone that has been here for like 15 years, 20 years, obviously everybody is still trying to. But if you're 1 year, 2 year, 3 years here, it's a lot, to be honest. It's a lot because there are a lot of bills to pay. I particularly didn't come via student visa, so I was lucky. But someone that came via student visa, that's another story on its own because they have to do so much. Their first year in school is traumatic. Some might be easy, that if their parents are fending for them, and others, if they came here, probably try to get loan from one or two friends, and they come here and they're trying to sort out the bill by themselves. It's a lot.
Can imagine. Can imagine. So you told me that once you jump far, you're now a millionaire, you're not a billionaire. Wow, wow. Thank God
To be
we're
honest.
doing this. Thank God we are doing this. There's this thing I've also heard about traveling to the UK. I have few friends who jackpot few months ago, some like a year now. And one thing that is very common to both of them is the fact that it's very, very lonely. In fact, they set it up to the point that you cannot just meet a guy, a lady or a guy out there and just say, "Oh my God, I'm a fair now." You know the normal thing here in Nigeria.
Who do you want to meet? Who wants to say hello, fine girl? Please, they would arrest you. Nah, it's not always like that. I particularly would say that I've been here for I came here September, and I can count the numbers of people that said they don't find girl. Coming from Lagos, where I used to stay, yeah, babe, now fine girl left, right, and center. But yeah, even though they are checking you out, they have to think twice before they say hi, because they are scared that you might report them for harassment and things like that.
That means the definition of harassment over there is different from what we have here.
Definitely, there are a lot of harassments, things that they consider harassment that we don't consider harassment. For example, body shaming, right? So in Nigeria, we know that even when you call somebody, why you or a keyboard, they call that harassment. Or keyboard is like, you're chubby and you're plumpy, you know.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, you even say that to joke with your friend, and they don't consider it offensive. Some consider it offensive, but in the UK, you dare not say that. Even trying to play with somebody's language, like maybe you're trying to mimic someone's language, they found it very offensive. We have many people on the call right now, but we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we would continue. Okay. Welcome back to the show. This is the DFY show, where we are currently talking about the truth about living in the UK. And I have here with me Bukola, who is my co-host. And if you're just joining us, I'm saying a very big welcome to you. And we have people that are ready to share their experiences with us. So I would go with Mavis first. Now, Mavis, can you kindly unmute? I know that Mavis currently stays in the UK. So, can you tell us more about your experience living here in the UK?
Hello, it's my pleasure to be here. I am from Malawi. I'm not Nigerian.
Oh, apologies.
No worries. I just wanted to say that because I believe most of the people who are here are Nigerian. My experience has been quite exciting, enlightening, and I would also call it a bit challenging. I came as a dependent. My husband was studying in Scotland. And when I was coming, I was warned about how hard it is to get a job, how hard it is to raise kids, because I came with two kids. And I didn't expect any help from my husband because he would be studying. And we wanted him to give his all on that end. So when I came prepared. Being a Christian, I came geared up to just pray and see what God would do. So over the time I was here, I started, one thing that really surprised me was the amount of opportunities that exist. Everyone who I met, most of the people I met from my country and other African countries warned me about how rare opportunities are in professional sectors like accounting, banking, and stuff like that, which is my background. And most people advised me to focus on healthcare and similar fields. And I was determined to not really do what I did not want to do. So, what I do want to make my life horrible, like to do a job I hated and everything like that. So I just started looking around, looking at jobs. And where I come from, there are a couple of opportunities that rise up. Everyone knows everything about what is available. And it was strange for me to see that there are multiple job boards, multiple vacancies, looking for accountants and paying them what I considered incredibly high compared to what I was being paid back home. So that was the first shocker, just seeing the amount of opportunities. And then getting those opportunities was a different story, of course, applying and going through interviews. But that was, for me, a positive experience because I come from a place where there are no opportunities. And if they're there, you have to know somebody and connect with somebody or pay somebody to have a chance at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first thing for my career. What was on a negative side, I'd say it does get lonely, especially when you don't speak the same, not just the same language, but it's also the cultural differences. Where I'm from, if I move to another African country, I can connect quickly and we can talk and just go straight to things that people consider here offensive, like you said,
Yeah.
you know? So I would just meet somebody and ask them deep questions about their life, about their children and stuff like that, which people say, okay, that the boundary, you know?
Yeah.
So it becomes tricky for you to make friends. You have to really be aware of the differences, and be aware of your your blackness or your Africanness so that you don't take it as a negative thing, but you're also just aware that there'll be cultural differences that will require you to adjust. But overall, it's been quite a positive experience, really.
Lovely. So I really want to come from the perspective of you being independent because a lot of people don't have that opportunity. Yes, you have
Yeah.
dependent, but many people, let's say from Africa, are not professionals. I believe you were a chartered accountant before you came to the
Yes.
UK, right?
Yes.
And what year did you get into town?
Last year, March. So it's been about a year of being here.
So did you get a job immediately?
No. So when I came in, I had a lot of issues to deal with on my own. I had low self-esteem. I didn't think I could be employable in this market. I didn't look for any roles that would reflect my qualifications. So I started after coming in, let's say in March, I started a job in June, and that job was a call center job. And it made my life horrible for about 4 weeks. That's when I realized I have to really put my faith to work and really see something else that I could do that would help me and my family and not make me feel like I'm enduring life, you know? So I got a proper job in October, actually a proper job in September. And after that came, more came. So I didn't have many at the start. I had lots of rejections, lots of regrets. But when the first one came, it was from a reputable bank. I was shocked. But after that, I got another one, which I went with for longer. So I believe that it's also the psyche. Like if you get confident in the application plus process and how to present yourself. And for me, I had to deal with a low self-esteem. I really had been told you can't be working in a proper job here. So I had believed it. And even in interviews, I think you could sense it that this person is not thinking they can do much, you know? So after I got over that, things changed for me. And I do say it's a positive thing to come as a dependent because you don't have the burden of all the restrictions on your work.
Yeah.
So that helped as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I quite agree. I think I would also want to talk about the fact that coming to a country where if you actually come alone, it's really, really depressing, to be very honest. Really, when it gets cold and you're in your bed alone. Because I remember when I first came in, I was about to enter my apartment and then I saw two people downstairs. And I was like, hi. If you see the eyes they used to look at me, like they're like, who is this person? I was like, why these people answer me? So second time, I wanted to open the door. I saw somebody else. I was like, oh hi, and they were like, other races. They just ignored me, and then that's when I get to find out that oh, these people don't even talk to each other. I was like, okay,
Really?
yeah, it's really bad. And talking about the job aspect. To be honest, I know you're not in like the UK itself. Are you in Ireland?
Oh, I'm in Scotland. I'm
Okay,
in
so I
UK.
think Scotland is a little bit different from England itself because England, there are a lot of people coming into England. So I think depending on the location, getting jobs are a little bit difficult. And obviously
Okay.
when you come in, I think I remember I made a post about before getting a proper job. Sometimes you might be lucky, you might get a job without experience. Sometimes it's difficult and you're getting to do some jobs that you've never thought you were ever going to do in your life. So I think that part alone, it's a lot of work, to be honest, and you have to be mentally ready.
Absolutely. And I think, to be fair, the opportunities do exist in some sectors. It's easier than others. I feel like for accounting, there are more roles available for maybe chartered accountants, or if you have an international qualification like that, which they value already here. When I came here, like from my country, there's so many chartered accountants. They have no job, you know. So when I
Yeah.
came here, I just didn't see the value in that, so I didn't even market that as a thing till somebody actually took the time and said, okay, this is how you can position yourself, which was really a blessing to have somebody tell me how to position myself. And that allowed me to then start seeing the opportunities. And when you connect to agents, like agencies that are honest, agencies that are, you just sometimes connect with people who will fight to get you on, because they're also making money from the company by getting the right people on board. So I had a couple of those who would aggressively say, we have an opportunity for you. We have an opportunity for you, which was also new for me. So in IT, I've seen a lot of opportunities like that. In accounting, banking, like finance related fields, I've seen more like that. Of course, the health sector as well. That, yeah.
Wow, Marvis, thank you for doing this. That's great to hear. And now I will have Mr. Femi join us. Mr. Femi, please unmute yourself.
Thank you
Very
very
good.
much.
Can you
And
please share with us how your experience has been?
okay, greetings to everyone on the platform. And this is a good job, Dami. This is the first time actually looking up on your program, but I know I've seen a couple come up, but I couldn't. Going by what you just said, I pick up from the last speaker. I came in many years ago, probably about 16, exactly the 17th year that I've been here in the UK.
Long time.
And I will tell you, there hasn't been much of a difference, but there've been massive difference. And I'll explain what I mean. When I came here those are the days where I came on a student visa, and I'll let you guys know. It's you just have to get to do what you have to do, and you have to do what you have to do to survive. And that's where I would say is a bit of a difference in comparison to students that are coming in now. Most of the students that are coming in now are students that are coming straight into, you coming with dependent, and you coming in to get a job. If you are qualified to do a job, based on what Marvis said, you could be lucky to get a job, and you go straight into them. The days when we came in, and I'll use we or me, when I came in, those are the days where they started changing from an undergrad can only do certain amount of hours, and from there it goes into cut into like 30 hours, it cut into like 20 hours, it got cut into like 10 hours, and it was completely eradicated that you can no longer work as an undergrad. You have to do a master's for you to be able to, okay, you got 20 hours to work. Those are the days it started happening. For some of us that were watching the so-called border force, the UK border force, those were the days that they were really high in the operation, where you're working and you never know what was happening in a factory or doing a night job, and people are just rounded up and sent back home. So in terms of experience, I'll tell you, different people have got different experience. Has it changed? Not exactly. And why has it not changed? It's a conservative country. Is it going to change? Not exactly. It could only be changed by legislation. They are still conscious of you being a foreigner and you coming to their country and you taking up their job. A proper British is always going to be a proper British, irrespective, it is their own country. I'll pick on what Damilola said. And you came out and saw two people and you smiled and said hello and they looked at you. It is a norm in this place. In those days, they don't expect you. You're neighbors. You're not friends. You're actually sharing the same apartment with them as a flat share. They are always looking out for you to make sure as soon as you're coming out from your room, they are getting away from the kitchen. As soon as you're passing by, they don't want to see you. That is, it is. These are part of experiences. In terms of jobs, there are lots of jobs as of that time in a sense whereby you could easily do this, you could easily do that. But again, you have to sit back. I'll give my personal experience. And I came in and I thought, what would I do? I'm not sure if there's a time into what I'm going to say, so I didn't keep going. And I sat down and I said, what would I do? And I said, I either do two things. The first thing I want to do, security job, or you want to go into care. Those are the kind of jobs that we're making money. Apart from that, you want to do agency job. Agencies could call you for like 2 months. You're doing constantly. You're getting job, you're getting work, you're getting money, and so on. And you could just go blank for the next 2 months. I'm like, how am I going to survive? How am I going to pay for studies? How am I going to pay? Considering the fact that you said, yeah, you've been sponsored. Not everyone has been sponsored to come here as a student. Some people actually literally sponsor themselves. And that is the kind of information that you want to give into your uni, and you tell them, no, oh, I'm being sponsored from home. And at the end of the day, I said, okay, you want to get a job that is certified. You want to get a job with a certification. Either you want to do care work, that you know you can do an MVQ, or you want to go into security, where you know you can get an SIA license, because that would also aid your occupational mobility. If you have an SIA license, you could relocate to anywhere. If you have a care job license, you can move to anywhere. So it's not a case of, oh, you're working here today because you don't have certification. There's nothing for you to do as an agency. And that ties into the next thing that comes to do with a lot of people that comes in, goes into London. London is not the all and all of the UK. And that's why people get stuck into not getting a job or not getting things to do, or it's expensive. Life is quiet outside London. Absolutely even quiet when you live in a suburban area than living in a city. You don't have to be in a city for you to live a good life. You could stay outside London and live properly. You could stay in a very quiet area and still do your thing quietly. As long as you're not a criminal, as long as you're not doing anything that is incriminating that they will have to trace you. Bear in mind, if you do anything that they will trace you, they would get you. You cannot hide it. There is no way you could hide it. I'm in the security field. I understand how that works. But that ties again into experience living in the UK. Pick up on Mavis. You're going to meet that obstacle. You're going to meet that hindrance. It's going to come from your accent. It's going to come from your name. It's going to come from your body language. We've got a different way we operate back home before we came here. We've always aligned ourselves to the Americans. And that's how when some of us comes in here and start seeing things that are completely different, like, oh, really? Is it the UK we've been hearing about? Is this London and so on? It is completely different because our lifestyle, our kind of way we dress, the music we listen to, has aligned towards Americans, not the UK or the British people. And you come here, it's a different life completely. You have to start inculcating their own culture and attitude into what you do in your daily life. And sometimes I'll give you an example. A friend of mine that brought his wife in, and the wife was like, when she just came in a couple of days later, and they went out to buy things. And anytime she goes to someone, she wants to buy things, and like, oh, I'm afraid we don't have that. Oh, can I have this? Oh, I'm afraid we don't have this. And one day she went back and asked her husband, why is that everywhere I go, they're always telling me I'm afraid, I'm afraid. Are they afraid of me? And the husband has to tell her that, no, that is the way they talk here. Because when you go, there's the three things that you need to learn: is please, is sorry, and apology. It is a way of life. They always tell you please before they ask you for something. They always tell you thank you when you do things for them, and they always apologize when things are
Wow.
wrong.
Oh, I am loving the conversation. I am loving all you've shared. I love the fact that you're letting us see the disadvantage, the good part, and of course the bad part. But then I have two questions for you, sir. You talked about the accent. You talked about communication. Even their vocabulary seem different from what we have here. But then looking back at when you got to the UK then and what we have now, do you think racism still exists? Do you also think that as a Nigerian who wants to travel out to the UK, do you think he or she needs to work on he or his communication skill before traveling? And lastly, is there a difference between how UK was then when you got there first and what it looks like now?
Thank you very much. I would pick up from the first question, and which comes to communication. Or I'll go back to racism. Communication. The truth is, as I said again, we've always aligned ourselves to the American value system, and which is we're always going to talk like an American, we're going to speak like an American, we want to rap like an American. There is no way you're going to pick up the British accent when you come in here. And I'll tell you myself, when I came in here, I was also struggling, and I challenge anyone to tell us here and now that when you came in, as soon as you came in, you could understand what they mean and they talk and they tell you in it. And you're like, what's in it? What's in it? You would not. There is no way you're gonna know that. But that is, and come to think of it, you want to think this is UK, this is the so-called English capital of the world. But at the same time, they've all got accents. They've got accents. If you, like Marvin said, if you are in Scotland, you've got a different accent. You're in London, you've got a different accent. You're in Birmingham, you've got a different accent. And you ask yourself, why is everyone talking that way? Which is different from like in America. So you cannot practice it before you come in. You can only come in, and when you start socializing and when you start living with them, you would learn how to speak it, and it will just come natural. But a lot of us that comes in Niger people don't. We still hang about with the Nigerian congregation, and you will still maintain that. No, if I go to racism, I'll tell everyone in there, and again, I know it's an open platform. The racism would never be eradicated. It would never. It could only be managed. It would only be managed. I will go a little bit down and tell you. I'm in the military, and I will tell you categorically, racism is bigger in the military. And why is it like that? It's like that because it is all about order. You do as you're told. It's not like in the civil like establishment where you could raise a complaint about somebody doing this, somebody doing that. No, it is big, just as it is in the police as well. It is massive in all these paramilitary forces and in the military. The racism would always stay. A typical example is like we're back home in Nigeria and you're in the bus and you see one Aboki sit by your side and you're shifting and say, don't let that Aboki sit near me. It is. And you're like, it's back home. It's tribalism back home. We don't see it as racist. But it is also an offshoot of racism because we see ourselves as one Nigeria, but he's an Aboki, he's an Inna. Don't mind that to Yoruba boy or Yoruba. It is like that. It's not going to change, but you can manage it. The way you can manage it is you sometimes you come across as aggressive the way we talk, but it's a natural Nigerian kind of thing or an African way of talking. They see you that your reply is aggressive. The way you behave is coming across like you're giving body language. But that's us. But when you read this thing, one course I could tell people to do again is like unconscious bias. If you do a course, it's online. Unconscious bias, it tells you those little things that you would do and we just trigger them off. And they would always see you as an outsider. Even though you have your British passport.
It's usually when you don't give them a cup of tea. That one is part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's part of them. And there's so many people. I'll tell you, when I was a junior, Dan, many years ago, I had to develop that ability not to tell them I don't drink tea. And why is it like that? Because anything you do, they will still complain. And from back home, the kind of tea we drink is different. We drink our own kind of tea, which is like the Milo, as we call them, the Bombita. Yeah. But they're beverages, and they do coffee, yeah, they do tea. There's no way you'll be able to do a good tea for them when you just come in. And they would openly tell you, okay, is that okay? Yeah, it is. But of course, they might chuck it in the sink and not even take it. In terms of your third question, if you could probably bring that back.
Okay, I ask if there is a difference in what the UK looks like when you go in and what it looks like now.
It is. There is a massive difference. So difference in terms of infrastructure, yes. Difference in terms of population, yes. Different in terms of behavior, no. The reason I'll say no to that is because it is culture. Culture doesn't change. It has been like that. It is a culture. So you just have to inculcate your own culture into your own ways and deal with them. So those are the changes I'll tell you that it's. One last thing before I go, if you permit me, I'll tell you this story that happens, and some people may have heard it before in a different context. Some people that have got the good name of, my name is Jim Jones. As it is in Nigeria, you have a kid and you don't want to name them Tayo or Dami, and you want to say, I'll just call her Stephanie, I'll call it James, I'll call it this. There's this friend of mine, a female, her name is Messi Ogene Jaffo. before she got married to somebody and she now became Mercy Fenton. She went to get a job, actually an accountancy job in London. She sat there and interviewed for 10 o'clock. She sat there for like 9:45. She was sitting down and waiting. And this lady walked past and came back to the office. 9:50, the lady walked past again and came back. It was like 5 minutes to 10. A white guy came in and sat down, and another white girl came in and sat down. Before that time, when she passed by, she was the only one sitting down there. And at exactly 2 minutes to 10, she came in and was like, Mercy Fenton, please. Mercy Fenton, please. And my good friend stood up and went to meet her, and she was like, "Oh, are you Mercy Fenton?" And she was like, "Of course I'm Mercy Fenton." And she was talking to her, looking at the white girl. And what is that trying to mean? She has that concept in her head that the Mercy Fenton she was anticipating is the white girl sitting down, not the black Edo girl. The girl scatter for her daddy for office. She's scatter fully because that is open racism. You get it? And this would happen a lot to all of us in here. Whether or not as soon as you speak and your accent will pick you up, but do not be deterred because we are intelligent, we are smart. Nigeria the Kailas, and we know what we're doing. We only need that half inch and we're gonna explode. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much for the great advice.
Was really
I love that
intense,
part,
really.
Nigeria very live. And really, I love everything you've shared. And thank you for not leaving back those suggestions, those advice. I believe people in Nigeria or other part of the world that are on this call and would love to travel will find them very, very helpful. Dr. Ugosep, thank you for
Hi.
joining this call. Yeah, hi, Dr. Okoso. So thank you for joining this call. So can you please tell us about your experience?
Good evening, everybody. So I came into the UK October 2021. So it's like 1 year, 6 months now. And I came in to study. Like I actually did come in to study. I know we use it as a means to Jackba, and that was like an advantage, but I actually wanted a master's. So I was very like engrossed in my schooling. And even though I was working, I didn't want to like lose sight of the goals I had academically because I wanted to get a distinction. I knew it wasn't going to affect anything because obviously here your grade doesn't really matter. They're more interested in your experience. But I still wanted that for myself because I had like slight academic issues in my undergraduate degree in Nigeria. So I was kind of trying to prove to myself that I still had it in me. So I was really focused on school. It wasn't easy because I had to be combining school and work. I had part of my fees left to pay bills. I used to be spoiled in Nigeria. Obviously, I came here. I had to become independent, like really independent. So it was a massive shift. And immediately I came here, it's like my family just said no more money because I used to get like a monthly allowance from my elder brother.
Yeah.
Everything stopped, so I had to be fending for myself. And then back in Nigeria now, even if even if I can say I'm not going to work for a bit and I'll still be fine like financially. Even when I'm going out with friends, I'll have to like, plan it, bring your money, bring even up to the cinema, anything I want to do, share my own money. It's not really nice. And that brings me to the part of like relationships here. Relationships here, I've been on dates, but and I'm actually very open. I'm not like discriminatory on who I'm going to be with. I'm actually open. So I've been on dates with both blacks and whites, but it's just not giving the vibe we will give in Nigeria. You know that vibe, like I've
Yeah.
not I've not felt one butterfly in my tummy. In fact, it's probably worms I'm feeling. My tummy is squirming. So I think that's like one of my worries because I don't want to be too focused on my career and end up like not having a balanced life and my social life. So I try to go out of my way to develop a social life. It's not easy, but I try. Well, whenever they decide to ask me out, I will be here waiting. I've joined dating site, but I do not really have the time.
Is
Do
it
you know
not
how tiring
bad?
it is? No, do you know how tiring it is to chat with people? Like I'm only 27, so it's not like maybe I would say it's age, But I've been there, done that. Like all those times I used to do all those dating things in Nigeria, dating side. There was a time that there was a wave. I used to be queen of that. But now I do not have time. If I go to work 9 to 5 and come back, do you think I have time to be telling somebody what I like and don't like and what's my favorite color? Like it's just exhausting, and I think that's the scary part because obviously as a woman, whether we like it or not, we do have biological clocks ticking, and
Yeah.
you just be wondering. And obviously, again, as a Christian, you have different types of standards, so you're not just going to want to go for any type of person. So that kind of limits the kind of people you're wanting to meet. So anyway, that aside, let's focus on happier things. So, so career wise, okay, so I did care for a year while in school, and I had opportunity to actually get like work sponsorship with care, but I really did not want to do that. I knew that I would be miserable. I switched from optometry, which was my first degree, to healthcare management because I was bored of optometry. So imagine if I was bored of being an eye doctor, how bored I would be of being a carer. So I just told myself that I couldn't do that. So I started applying for jobs in the NHS. I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I know I wanted it to be in management. And I think what I would say is that, especially based on what Mavis had said earlier, is that you really need to be confident because that's like the major thing. If you start applying for jobs, even if you don't get to interview stage, from your application, your confidence can shine through from your sporting information and cover page. Like big up yourself, talk big about yourself. You already have the skills, you already have we're more educated. Most of us even have like second degrees. These people barely have the first degree, and they're the ones interviewing you, they're the ones in top positions because that's not what really matters. So you need to understand that you have the skills, you just need a bit of training, and you just need that first foot in the door. And I think that's why when you start applying, you need to like really boost yourself. If it takes you doing short courses on motivation and things like that, whatever it takes for you to be in that mental space where you know that you are that girl or you're that man, get into that space and start applying and project that when you go on interviews. Because I think that initially when I was applying, I wasn't getting anything. Like if I type unfortunately in my mailbox, I will have over 100 results coming back. So I had loads of unfortunately. But then I had to keep going back to my CV. I had to keep going back to my applications to see what is it that I'm doing wrong. And then I think LinkedIn is a very good resource as well. So and Dami wrote a book about LinkedIn, so you might want to check that out. LinkedIn is a very good resource in the sense that like you can go out and search for people in the field or the company, the industry you'd like to be in, and message them. Not everybody's going to reply. In fact, maybe you message 100 people, 2 people reply, but you just need that one reply to change the way you think and to give you like an inside perspective on how to apply for things and stuff. So I was always doing that. I used to message people working in NHS, like top leaders and stuff. And there was a lady that actually came back to me, and she's like a big woman in the NHS, like NHS England. And she actually sent my CV that she wanted to see how I was applying. So I sent her, and this lady like sent back an email like detailed. You would think she'd be so busy and she probably brushed me aside. She took time to detail, like edit my CV and say, this is what you should do, this is how you should project yourself, you should reply, you should answer questions in STAR method. Like literally giving me examples and everything. I can't even thank her enough because that's like literally a stranger. And that's one thing again that affects us as Africans and as black people when we travel abroad. We don't have that sense of community spirit. We have community spirit when it comes to like parties and stuff. But when it comes to helping each other, like showing each other the way and just telling each other tips and tricks, like helping each other up, we're not really good at it. The statistics actually show that among immigrants in the UK, the black people in general were like the poorest or were like the least successful. And that's because we don't help each other. It's not like there are not rich blacks among us, but we get to the top and we forget about the other people. So I think that's one part we need to work on. So anyway, back to my story. So she was very helpful. So I went back to my application and stuff, and I started reapplying. I started like strategizing every single thing I've done, even when I was volunteering, I was doing outreaches in Nigeria, every single thing I did, I kept on talking about the skills I got from there and how it applied to each job I was applying to. So I would say, oh, maybe for example, I got confidence to speak in public from this and that, and I think it will help me in this job because obviously I'll be meeting with doctors and so and so. So that's how I was now structuring my applications and then going on into interviews. I wasn't prepared for that. So initially, I would get called for interviews, and then I won't get an offer for the job. So I had to go back again. I started watching. YouTube videos. I started doing LinkedIn short courses to know how to like be confident in interviews, the right questions to ask, because you need to make it like a conversation, ask them questions as well. And I think that really helped me. And I finally got a job. Like actually, now that I'm saying it, may seem like I got a job quickly because I got a job a week after my graduation. But technically, I'd been applying like 2 months ahead of time before my graduation. So I had gotten lots of unfortunately emails. But then finally got a job, and I think because my job is kind of managerial, I've been opportune to interview for vacancies within my team, and that's why I know that truly how you apply matters. And then after applying, when you get called for the interview, how you project yourself with that interview is like really key. Because if they call you for interview, they already know you're good for the job. Like your qualifications and skills are already a match, and that's why they called you for interview. They're just trying to see if you're a fit for the team, and so your personality has to shine through. You can't go to an interview and your hands are trembling. No matter how nervous you get, no matter how afraid or whatever it is of people, you have to get over that and be confident when you step into the room, because they want to see that confidence shine through. Because how are you going to work in team if you can't even look at the people interviewing you eye to eye?
Yeah.
So I think you just need to, like, when you're
Wow.
preparing for applying for jobs, you just need to do all these short courses, like learn your weaknesses, work on them, and pray as well. That's number one, because I was praying a lot. I was praying.
Love the fact that you mentioned some soft skills, because you mentioned one of the deficits of African minds of not wanting to help each other. I also think another that we capitalize more on our certificates. That is the skill from school, academic skill, and leaving out the soft skills you have mentioned. Thank you very much. You mentioned confidence, mental space, taking advantage of LinkedIn, your personality, and community spirit. That is a whole lot. Then you talked about relationship from the beginning. I have this very short question. A friend of mine mentioned days ago that she would advise that if you are coming to the UK, then get married before coming, so you come with your husband.
Necessary.
Not
But
even lie like
you
that.
Christian.
That. I wouldn't say like, oh, go and be desperate and force yourself to get married before coming. But if I did have an option, like if I had somebody good that was marriable before coming to the UK, I probably would have done that, because it's like an advantage, because you just come in and you guys are working together towards a goal. And it's not even just about the loneliness, it's knowing that you have your own person. Like the whole world can be falling apart and you're coming back to your own person to tell them how the world is falling apart. But having to deal with it alone, it's not easy. And this goes like for both genders, like male and female. Male, like guys have more responsibilities, obviously, so it's harder for them as well. Just having somebody, even if they can't even solve your problems, they'll just go and rant like, if you see what happened to me. So yeah, I would say not like be desperate and go and marry any Tom, Dick, and Harry. See, but if you have somebody good and you know you would have married the person anyway, it is better to actually relocate with a partner, even if it's not marriage, even if it's like a serious relationship. But it's better to relocate to a partner, because then it saves you a lot of stress and emotional hurts and all that.
Wow. Thank you very much. It's really great to have you share your experience with us. And thank you for not holding back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've always, by the way, I and Faith met in church, and that's the power of LinkedIn, because if you don't, you can meet people anywhere. And one of the best ways to connect with people is when you just say, okay, are you on LinkedIn? So that professional bond can always start from there. And then I'll go on to Mr. Lawrence before we go to Annie. So I would want us to please, first of all, before I bring Mr. Lawrence on board, can you use the react, which is the clap emoji, for Mr. Lawrence? Now, I really, really respect Mr. Lawrence a lot. I call him Mr. Tosin, by the way. So please help me clap for him. Let me tell you what he did. So when I came to the UK last year, I posted about how I came to the UK. I will never stop sharing this story. So I got a lot of people reaching out. Okay, hi Dami, welcome to town. I would like to host you and all that. But Mr. Lawrence reached out and I connected with him immediately, and he invited me to his child's birthday party. So I think it was the second week or probably a month after I came into town, and it was the first person's house that I visited. And I've never seen him from anywhere, but we met on LinkedIn. And funny enough, he has also attended the church that I attend currently. So welcome, Mr. Lawrence. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for those kind words.
Yeah. Thank you. So for your question, we've seen people talk about opportunities, but you've been here for how many years now?
It's been a while now. I came in 2004 as a
Okay.
student for my MSc. I think that's long enough, isn't
Where was I in 2004? I think I was still in probably primary school.
it? That's over 18 years now.
Okay, beautiful. So I really want you to break it down. Since we've had people talking about the different parts of the UK. But so people listening and maybe they're thinking of, okay, I want to come to the UK, or some of us that have been here for less than a year, less than 3 years, and you have been here for 18 years. I think I want you to share the process. Like, okay, when you come in, this is what is expected. Obviously, this is how you're going to feel, and then
Okay.
opportunities that we can really look out for. So if people that contemplating, should I come, should I not come? I think with
Yeah.
your analogy when it comes to building houses, investments. So please just break that down for us.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dami. Thank you everyone for joining and thank you for having me. I came in 2004 and all I can say in summary from my experience so far in the UK is that it's a land of massive opportunities. In fact, what I have benefited, um, I can't really remember the challenging of the early years when I came. It was challenging, I must say. And to walk through that process, I think we just need to be patient. I'm a Nigerian to the core, and even from the way I speak, the way I do things, you still see, the Nigerian in me. And one thing I've realized is that we're not a very patient people. But if you can patiently walk through the system, I can, tell you confidently that, you will benefit from the system eventually. And when we first started, like a joke, someone was talking about, how rich you could be, or if you're in the UK. Let me just be very, very plain about this. I don't think this is a place, if you really want to be very, very rich, you're in the wrong place. But if you want to live a very peaceful, comfortable life, you're in the right place where you have your rights, where your right is protected, where you can live like a normal and a proper human being, then UK is a place for you. But if you're planning to build 10 houses and have billions in your account, I'm sorry to say you're in the wrong place. Okay, from my own experience, I started rough as well. Like I said, came in as a student. All of the many jobs you can talk about, care job, warehouse, I've done them. But where am I today? I came in, I had a background in electronics engineering, came in for my master in engineering, but that couldn't really give me what I wanted in the UK. So I had to do another MSc in supply chain and procurement. And that really opened the door for me. I can tell so much story about that, but because we have a very limited time, and today, I work as a procurement manager, and I've worked in different industries in the UK as a senior person. And this is still the way I talk. The accent still remains the same.
Doesn't
And
change.
yeah, so when it comes to discrimination, I've heard people talk about that. I think I'm a kind of a person who is very, very less sensitive to that. There exists discrimination in the UK, no doubt about that. But just like Mr. Femi was saying earlier on, even back in our own country, there are discriminations, amongst different tribes. So I don't really take it as anything. regardless of what they do. I just focus on my dream and I follow it up. Regardless of the discrimination we talk about, sometimes it could be subtle, sometimes it could really, really be pronounced, but it hasn't really stopped me from achieving what I've achieved today. And at the same time, I want to sort of, I'm a Christian, like some people are professed today here. I'm not shy to, not ashamed to say that. And I want to say there's also a God factor in all that we do. And I've seen that work for me also here in the UK. Another thing I want to say is there is an important place for mentorship. If you have identified a particular area or a particular thing you want to do, thankfully for the opportunity and resources and contact you can have through this platform, LinkedIn. If there's a particular area, it's always good to have someone to mentor you. It makes the job easier, it makes the journey shorter for you as a person. And another area, and for people that we've come together almost at the same time, I can say that I can look back today and differentiate between some of us who are highly focused and those who are not. I can point out people who are doing very, very well in their field, just like me, by the grace of God. I can point out to people who are into businesses, real estate. I can point out to a friend, a very close friend. This is not just, reading about someone's story on any platform. This is a very close friend who has more than 4 or 5 houses here in the UK. We came almost the same time. I came about 6 months earlier than he did. I housed him when he came. He was particularly interested in real estate and he went for it. As I talk to you, I work for a company, like the biggest pharmaceutical company in the whole of the world, which is Johnson and Johnson. You can imagine a black guy talking like the way I'm talking now, doing all of that. So there are massive opportunities. Let me stop there because of our time. If there's any question, because I don't think I can touch on everything, but if there's any question you want me to specifically provide an answer to, then I can do that.
Okay, that's really lovely, sir. Thank you so much. So I think I just want to clarify something, that what's the difference, as let's say for dependents or students or people looking to come into town, we really establish the fact that it takes time, which I really agree on, for you to find your footing, for you to remain balanced, for you to be able to know so much in the country. So talking about the part of skills, just like Faith has mentioned, you really need to brush on your skills a lot. Which do you think is preferable? People that just come into the town now and the next thing they are trying to do is business, just to make the urgent 2K or the millions as we call it, or people should just calm down, work on their professional self, take their time to develop, so that by the time they are connecting, they should make it a long-term goal. Which do you think is better? Short-term goal focused, make all the millions now, or just be patient, which is going to take a lot of time, and get all the qualifications you need and work with mentors, like you said?
Yeah, be patient, get integrated into the system. It matters. If you want to do a business, well, like so many Nigerians, they want to do a business and they're still doing businesses that are within the black community because you haven't really integrated into the system. You don't know what these guys want. You don't know their culture, just like Femi talked about earlier on. So what exactly are you leveraging on, to do business? Some of these being employed by organizations here, it's not just for the pay, but it exposes you. It makes you learn more about their culture. It makes you learn more even about businesses. How do you break through with your business? For example, I've worked in the supply chain for so many years, and by the side, even though I work for a very big company, by the side I still have my own company running by the side, and it just basically, and the business I run is not just looking for a client from the black community, anyone could buy it, and it runs online. Nobody knows who is behind an online store. As long as you have your product that people like, you have your product that cuts across everyone, it means that anyone can patronize you and you can get your customer from anywhere. So I would say get integrated into the system first, build that long-term plan and go for yourself. For example, people coming in as students, people thought, oh, it's just a means to get into the UK. No, if you do very well in your MSc, sometimes it gives you an opportunity for a full scholarship to do your PhD. When you get to so many universities here in the UK today, you see so many, black people lecturing, because with the white guys, you must have noticed that they're very lazy too. The highest they could do is their first degree. They wouldn't even bother to do their masters, let alone, PhD. But for us Nigerians, we're just naturally, gifted in going to school, even when those certificates we're not using them. So if you have an opportunity to do very well in your MSc, and you could get there's so many opportunity for full scholarship for PhD, you go for your PhD, and once you have a PhD here, it just gives you an access for a lecturing job. And when you're lecturing, there's for Nigerians, we can multitask, we can do so many things at the same time. You're lecturing at the same time, you're running a business. And as I talk to you, I have an advantage of both worlds. I'm here in the UK. It might interest you to know that I still run so many things back in Nigeria. I have, business partners in Nigeria. I know Nigeria very well. I know how everything operates in Nigeria. So I have, the bit of both worlds. So for me, I would say patiently walk through the system, integrate yourself into the system, learn what works, what doesn't work, and just don't get into any illegal things. People would do that and they would get, that, quick benefit, quick money, but it doesn't really last. I've seen examples of people when we came in together, all sort of fraudulent stuff. You think they've made it, they were successful, but like you will agree with me, it won't last, and it hasn't really lasted for them. So that's my advice: build on a long time goal. It will work eventually.
Okay.
Another thing that I might not be able to have a very informed comment on is the immigration. It really matters a lot. And things keep changing anyway. The way it worked when we came in might be different from the way it's working now. So I might not really be able to have a very informed and updated comment on that. But once you saw the immigration now, like a very good example, when I had my first master here in the UK, was paid for as an international student. But by the time I was going for my second MSc, now we've got our British passport, so I could have a very subsidized rate as a home student, and it made it so easy. And currently, I'm even doing my PhD, 2 years into my PhD, with all of other things that I'm doing by the side, just because of the energy we've got. You can imagine. It's just a massive opportunity with our energies as Nigerians. It's an opportunity. That's really the summary. Big opportunities here in the UK.
That's really lovely, sir. I think you really, really nailed it. So I really think that one thing that you mentioned I found very, very outstanding is mentorship. So talk about what Mr. Femi said about cultural differences. I made a mistake where I started working. I don't drink tea, right? And in fact, I can't even make their tea because I don't like coffee. The tea that I'm used to is Milo and milk, and it's not even the skimmed milk they take. Pig milk is what I take, or cowbell, or whatever. And so when they're trying to say, oh Dami, do you want a cup of tea, I'm like, no, I don't want. First time, second time, I don't take it. And I noticed that when somebody wants to drink a tea, they'll be like, oh, do you want a coffee? They ask everybody.
Yeah.
So I realized that probably they started doing some gossips at the back, and anytime they are saying, do you want this, I'm always saying no. So that part of, if I had maybe asked questions and say, okay, these are the things that you are supposed to do, so that you don't get into trouble with them, because after all you came here to look for something, and because of how their country is, you for you to live peacefully with them, you have to really study their tradition. Just like what people say, when you're in Rome you behave like the Romans. And so imagine someone come to you, you've been in this country for like 18 years, and let's say me, that I'm still shouting, oh, the cold. Because I remember when I saw you for the first time, I was like, it was during before winter, and I was already cold during autumn. It was like, don't worry, Dami, you'll get used to it. And the weather wasn't as 10 degrees, and I was shivering. And then you just entered your car stylishly, and me, I was like freezing. But with time I adapted to the cold. So it can be difficult, but just like I said, if we can have that patience, ask questions, because nobody is an island, and not ask questions from people that do TikTok. Not ask questions from people that are always saying bad things about the country, because my church, they're always prophesying good things about the country. And because of what they've said, let's say for example, cost of living is going higher, and maybe you buy tomato for like £1 and increases to like £1.25 on Twitter or on TikTok. Many Gen Zs or many youths will start saying that cost of living is blah blah blah. You'll be scared. But when you're in the community of people that say no matter what the amount of food is, if you can do so and so, you'll be fine. So I really appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. Because of our time, we'll take Annie. Then after Annie, we'll take few comments. Then just one or two comments from people, and then we would wrap up. So hi Annie, how you doing?
Thank you so much for organizing this. I really appreciate this. I'm a career coach and a learning and development consultant. I also have my own recruitment agency, which I started years ago. I've been in the country for a while.
Can I get a job?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be your
Yeah.
DM then.
Yes. So, I've been working with international students for a while now. And most recently, when they opened the student route, a lot of them were coming here. And I genuinely thought that we're coming here to study. But surprisingly, some of them were just dropping out of university. And I thought, why are you dropping out? Why? You've paid so much fees. And like, oh, yeah, you know what? I just wanted to, jackpot, no, no. Like, so I didn't get it. Then a lot other ones wanted to come from Nigeria. So I just thought, you know what, I'll take it upon myself and try to mentor some of them before they get into the UK. And so majority of them were going into healthcare, and honestly I was really surprised that why would you want to get into I'm not saying healthcare is bad, but I thought some of them were doing very well. Maybe they're living well in Nigeria. They didn't need to go into healthcare. So anyway, I started to mentor some of them coming over here. And one of the students that came here to study data science, no, data analytics, MSc, was struggling, and his friend wanted to come, and he told his friend, oh, this is the situation. I was asking his friend in Nigeria, because they worked in the bank together, to send him money. And I said to him, could you, instead of you coming in as a student, that's the friend in Nigeria, can you not take on a course and in data analytics and try to get in here? Then he said, oh, it's going to be a long process and all that. One thing with us is the mindset. Okay, people don't plan. People just jump in the bandwagon and they don't really listen. As Mr. Lawrence said, we need a lot of patience and maybe a bag or bucket of it. Okay, because if not, we're going to start rushing into things that are not really aligned with our values, our system. So anyway, to cut long story short, this guy came over and then, he started taking the certification with a company in America in data analytics. After about 4 months, we started looking for a job for him. He got a job in December. He relocated with his family here on a 60 £100,000 per annum with a skilled worker visa as a
Wow.
data analyst. Then the friend that is here spent over 18,000 on school fees, is doing healthcare job. Why? Because while he was studying, his wife was struggling. Anyway, luckily enough, we're able to get his wife a job as customer service rep, so she could work from home because they have two younger children, 4 and 6. But he had to go to school and do healthcare job for about 20 hours and all that. So they're really struggling. Over the holiday, the Christmas break, they were actually homeless.
Wow.
And I had to like book them in a hotel. Yes, they were homeless because they couldn't afford to pay their rents. So what I'm trying to say is this other guy in Nigeria listened and he upskilled and got a job with a certificate of sponsorship and relocated. He was patient enough because he didn't actually have the money to pay for his school fees or proof of fund or something like that. Okay. And he got a job. Then this other one is doing healthcare at the moment. So it was recently he reached out to me. Oh, I want to get back into data analytics and all that. And then he started taking courses in Coursera and LinkedIn, just to upskill. But I just feel that is a waste of time. What people need is these employability skills, the soft skills that they need, because regardless of what you have in Nigeria, everyone has the ability to be remarkable.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone can get a job regardless. But I know some people have this imposter syndrome that okay, I'm not good enough, or they're not going to employ me and all. But as Mr. Lawrence said, you need a mentor, somebody who understands the system, because there are lots of jobs here in the UK. In fact, there are more jobs than skilled workers. I don't want to say qualified because a lot of Nigerians are qualified. Okay?
Yeah.
But what they lack is the skills. Employers are not looking for your certificates. They're looking for the value you're bringing into the organization to help them grow their businesses. They're looking for your skills. So your skills don't have color. Your skills don't have accent. Your skills don't have nationality.
True.
So if you position yourself well, I'm sure somehow, somewhere, one employer will say, okay, you know what, I will employ this person. As the other Dr. Oro said, she kept applying. Just keep applying. Don't just expect that the first job you apply for, you get it. Because there are thousands of people applying for that one job. You don't know. There was a time I posted a job on Total Jobs. I got about 800 applications and we needed 2 people.
Oh.
What is going to happen to the other people? Then I have a friend, we're recruiting for her healthcare business recently, and he was offering certificate of sponsorship. And then he said, oh, I received about 250 CVs. And in his words, he said 230 were rubbish. Yes. And then out of I think they selected about 10 for interviews and only 4. But they still have vacancies for about 30. So we now have to start like searching the market to know how can we get, qualified people, because everybody's throwing their CVs. Oh, I want to work as a healthcare and all that stuff without actually looking to see if my CV is good enough, if I have the necessary skills that they require. So what we need to look inside of us. What are we passionate about? What do I want to do? Instead of going through all this fast track, go through a process. It will cost you less and save you time. A lot of people right now are buying certificate of sponsorship. Why? Because they cannot go through a process. For me, it's a lot of money to waste.
Yeah.
If you get a mentor and you spend about maybe 150, 200 or 500 pounds, trust me, it will save you all that hassle.
So just a quick question. If
Yeah.
someone is trying to get a mentor, because it's quite difficult getting a good mentor because you don't know who to approach, and the part of financial area, that financial aspect. How can we go around because of time? How can we get mentors? Do you do mentorship even if you're
I do
dependent,
mentorship.
or you just live here?
Yes, I do mentorship, especially for when people come with their dependents. I do mentorship if there's students coming here with their dependents, because I recruit international students for institution here, but not as an agent, as a consultant. Okay, so I prepare my students before they get in here. So when my students get here, we already know where they're going to do internship. They're not going to go and do a job outside the field they're studying in, because it just does not make sense.
Yeah, it's crazy. I really agree, because it's depressing when you're here and then you don't have guidance. Because I myself, I would be honest, I fell into that box, because when I started the job, things happened. I got tired. I'm like, what am I doing in this country? I didn't know what to do. So I quite agree with you.
Yeah, because majority of them are depressed, okay, and they're not able to finish. That's why you see some of them just dropping out. I was mentoring a student recently, and then the roommate got a job, dropped out of the uni. She said, "Oh, I can't afford to pay the balance of £7,000, so I need to just switch to healthcare." Luckily, he got a sponsorship somewhere. He switched to healthcare, and then she's like, we had gone halfway just to get her internship, just preparing her with push her into internship. She was so much in a hurry. She's like, "Oh no, my roommate just got this. I don't want this internship anymore. I want to do this." I was very deflated, because I was so excited that she's gonna get into a job in supply chain, because she's studying MSc in supply chain and logistics or something like that, And I tried my very best to try and convince her, but she said, "No, I don't want to pay that school fees. I don't." And she told me she had the fees all prepared, because she was selling something in Nigeria to her car or something to balance the fees up. Then just of a sudden, "Oh, I don't have the money for the fees," because somebody else has gotten a certificate of sponsorship in the care, But for me, what I'm trying to say, there are so many opportunities. You just need to speak to the right person. It doesn't matter even if people studied. A young guy studied history and international relations. He got a job in, I don't want to mention the name of the company because people will be going there. He got a job in a good TV station here, where he is a researcher for that, the West African market. And he's going all over the place. Okay. So, I feel that, as Mr. Lawrence said, mentorship is important. If you cannot pay, there are some group ones you can get into. People organize a lot of free webinars, okay, where you can get information. So even if you cannot get all of it, there's somebody somewhere that can kind of prepare you for the route.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Because of time, I'm really blessed by what you said. I really agree with what you said so far, and it's really important for us to really prep ourselves before coming here. Yes, people that are on skilled work visa, because they have families, their spouses automatically come with them, because they don't have choice, they come with them. But some of us, for example, I myself, I really didn't know so much about this at the point that I feel like I just want to go home. But knowing the fact that whether you are the main applicant or you're not the main applicant, as long as you see that, okay, this is my new home now, what do I have to do? Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. If you're just joining us, this is still the DFY show, where we are talking about the truth about living in the UK. We are going on a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll take few comments and then we'll wrap up the show. Okay, welcome back to the DFY show. Just put your love emoji if you're still following us. Okay, now we will be going to the comments, people that dropped in their comments regarding this conversation. Over to you, Bukola.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you to all the people who have shared their experience. So I will be taking the comment. So the first comment I have here is from Jennifer Jonel. Jennifer says the UK certainly has its advantages, such as a strong education system and a well-developed public transportation system. However, the high cost of living and competitive job market can make it difficult for some people. Yes, a lot have been said about that. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Another comment from Adefolake Omorisola says, living in the UK can be quite challenging considering where we are coming from. Talk about the weather that is unpredictable, down to being careful even while working due to DBS. What's DBS? Okay, not being destroyed from silly mistakes, and all down to finding it hard to eat your favorite meal outside, except you have the time to cook it at home.
Yeah.
She also talked about the bills and tax payment. She also said it's very difficult, especially with you getting yourself a car and for you to pay for car parks everywhere you park.
I agree.
So in all, she says that living in the UK is challenging. However, it challenges one to do more and keep pushing harder. Okay, so I'm going to take one more comment. That is from Bridget. It says, if not for security issues, Niger sweet die if I had to get money. I don't feel pressured to japa, but would love to travel the world.
Lovely.
Wow, wow, wow. And another person says that, I love the comment, says that I would love to leave Nigeria if I have the opportunity, though it depends on the country I will be visiting and my reason for leaving and a lot of other factors to consider. That is from Richard Chuku.
Okay, so thank you so much for reading the comments. Thank you everyone that has called in. We wouldn't be able to take in more comments because of the time, so thank you so much. So on a final note, before we leave, Bukola, do you want to say anything? Do you have any thoughts on today's topic?
Yes, I do. I just think it's important to have all of these expectations for most of us or for some of us that want to travel. I also appreciate the mentorship part. And the last speaker, I think Mrs. Anne, thank you also for all you said about the mentorship. So I also think with the right mindset and support system, which can be in form of the mentor they shared with us, it can always be an incredible experience for us.
Yeah, I agree because when you know the pros and the cons, depending on your situation, if you're coming in as a student, you need to really look at it. Though it might be challenging from the beginning, the way the UK was 5 years or 10 years ago is quite different from the way the UK is now because we are having high cost of living. So imagine someone coming to study in the UK. I've seen a lot of people that are in debt because they are coming to study. So the question is, if you're living a very comfortable life in Nigeria and coming to the UK, dropping all your old wealth, dropping your big apartment, dropping everything, your friends, your family, is it truly worth it? Just like everybody has mentioned, do you have the capacity to stay? Do you have the energy and the zeal, the resilience to be able to do this? So I think that this is a personal conviction. This is a personal choice you have to make. Like we said from the beginning, we are not in any way discriminating. We are just trying to share our thoughts on what we think about this topic. I want to mention the fact that a lot of people that are coming to the country for the first time, especially students, that they are coming with their entire family. I would really say that it's not really a good idea because some people might be affected because you're just trying to find your balance. So I would really say that everybody should really measure, to be honest, check your account balance. If you want to come, there is no guarantee that you get a job 3 months after you get here, and you might be stuck, you might be low on cash, you might not know what to do, your school might be on your neck, you might have school problems. But if you're coming in, let's say you get a job as a doctor, let's say you get a job being sponsored, it's quite easier than being a student. So the question I would leave with you today is, would you stay in Nigeria and enjoy the all good life, the good vibes of Nigeria, or would you sacrifice everything and come to the UK? So any last word, Bukola?
Yes, remember you can continue the conversation on our DFY show page where you can leave comments and question. Of course, we will be there to engage you also. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you, everyone, and see you next week.